Welcome, everybody. We're back again. This is Unapologetically Significant. And we're your hosts, Rich and
Shelly Marie.
Shelly Marie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about today
Why are you excited?
because we have a guest.
Yes.
We hardly ever have guests, and she's amazing. And we're going to talk about food. We're talking about chemistry, biology. We're going to talk about it all. So I'm just super stoked to get some feedback and some insight from a guru.
Nice. And without further ado, because I know our audience likes us to jump right into things.
Right.
Usually we're clowning around a little bit, but I'm excited too. So without further ado, let me introduce Cherie to you, and I'll let her talk a couple of minutes about her background and kind of what she's done. You know, she's put out a ton of books. She's put out more books than most of you have read since you graduated, which
Really?
is quite the accomplishment.
That's fair.
Yes.
And
yes.
just I was on a mission to read one book a month for an entire year just to see if I can do it, and she far exceeds that. So this is great.
So without further ado, Cherie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. Well, I have written a few books, as you said. And this one we're talking about today is number 36, The Truth About Seed Oils. I started off, though, with juicing and became the juice lady in the early 90s when I was still a student, and wrote my first book, Juicing for Life, with a co-author. And lo and behold, it sold over 2 million copies. It went all around the
Wow.
world, 32 languages, and it was perfect timing. And then since then, I've written many, many other books. As we just said, I've sold over 3.5 million copies total. Being a spokesperson for the Juice Man Company gave me the title, the Juice Lady.
Okay.
And it's stuck. I've still got it. But with that deal, when they sold to Salton, I got passed along with the deal. And Salton is the company that developed the George Foreman grills. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I was in the right place at the right time again, met George, and talked to the CEO and said, I could be George's nutritionist. I'd love to be. And he agreed. He'd like that. And make me the other co-spokesperson for the grills, which they did. I was in the first 3 infomercials and appeared on QVC for 13 years with those George Foreman grills. And wrote George Foreman's Knock Out the Fat Barbecue and Grilling Cookbook, which sold over 1 million copies. So it's been a wonderful season. I got a master's of science degree in whole foods nutrition. And
Okay.
I love talking about the science behind all this. Not that it's all reliable. We have to
Mhm.
wise discerners of everything. But we're going to talk about some of that today, the science connected with seed oils, why they aren't good for us, what's really going on. It's one of my favorite topics these days.
Great. And I think that's that's just wonderful to me, because I think too many people stop at the surface. You know, they hear things, oh, this is not good for you, this is not healthy, what have you, and they don't go any further than that. Why is it not healthy? Why is it not good for you? So I'm excited to get into some of that today.
Yeah.
But what got you going on seed oils, of all things?
Of all things, yes, from well, it's part of nutrition, of course, but it is a quantum leap, sort of, from juicing to seed oils. But last year, I was on the seed oils committee when Maha first was rolling out a lot of topics to be discussed, and committees were forming. And I was on a MAHA committee for a while on seed oils. That kind of dissolved. But being on that committee, I saw there's really a need for a very practical book that just lays it out, tells you what oils are good, what aren't, gives you recipes, how to incorporate it, and some science behind it. Like, why? Lots of people are saying, well, these seed oils are bad because, heat and hexane and chemicals and all of this treatment. But what's really happening to that oil? So that's what prompted me to write this book, a very practical book, ending with a
Mhm.
shopping guide for
Yeah.
how do you clean out your pantry. I'm a practical nutritionist. I've worked with
Okay.
so many people, and they're always asking, how do I do this? How do I make this happen? How do I make it practical in my life? How do I do switchovers? And what's going to be best for me and what's really going to feed my body. So we've got all sorts of charts and lists and smoke points and the
Mhm.
good fats and the bad fats and what they do for you and how they
Mhm.
affect the brain from head to toe. So it's all in there. That's why I wrote it.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice, nice. How much resistance have you had? You know,
A
people
little.
get so stuck in their
Yeah.
ways.
And I think today, with everything being at your fingertips with social media, it can be confusing because you hear of all of these fads or these mock nutritional facts, and it's hard to have some discernment behind all of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, we should set the record straight because there is a lot of pushback right now. The seed oil industry is a multi-billion dollar industry. It's
Hmm.
projected
Mhm.
to be 600 billion by 2031.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a lot of money.
Hmm.
That
And
is.
so that's a turf for a war.
Mhm.
You know, so to speak. So they're going to give it the 1-2 punch as best they can for their argument of why these oils are good for you. Why are they heart
Right.
healthy? They've been advertised as heart healthy for
Hmm.
decades.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
aren't. They're the opposite, but they're going to give you the um, uh, 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 layout for why you should have these oils in your diet. So they're saying these oils are rich in linoleic acid, omega-6 fatty acid, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
everybody eats that. And that's true. We
Right.
do. We eat omega-6s, um, and we get plenty of them, but we don't need them in the amount we're getting. We're getting 15 to 1 omega-3 to
Mhm.
20 to 1 omega-3 fatty acids. What does that do when we've got a huge imbalance? It's like a teeter-totter and it's weighing the whole end down, it's
Hmm.
way too much omega-6. It
Right.
causes inflammation. What does inflammation do? It affects us all over our body from head
Right.
to toe. Oxidative stress is what we're talking about in the brain. It causes dementia, Alzheimer's, or if you're not in that age group, you're a younger age group,
Hmm.
brain fog. I hear
Mhm.
Hmm.
young people even talking about brain fog, the brain just not functioning the way they wish. It causes mood disorders, anxiety, depression, and
Wow.
aggression. That's linked to scientific studies for what
Mhm.
it's causing. So we're getting way too much inflammation, way too much oxidative stress in the body. And that's what's causing so many problems. It's not saturated fat and
Mhm.
cholesterol, as they would have us believe. It's these oxidized oils, sugar,
Hmm.
preservatives, and all of the dyes and additives added to food, the fast food, the commercial foods as well. So it isn't just seed oils, but they're a big player, a big villain
Hmm.
in the story.
Yeah, let's talk about the oxidation because we've heard the term. I read the book, but we hear the term, but I don't know how many people really understand what that means in practical terms, especially when it comes to like heating oils and digesting oils.
Yes, so oxidized oils are what we end up with the seed oils. So I should just go through a process of how they end up oxidized, which
Mm-hmm.
means free radicals. It means their molecular structure has changed. It means their double bonds have been broken. They have, in chemical terms, double bonds,
Mm-hmm.
polyunsaturated oils, at least two sets of double bonds. And that means there's no carbon or hydrogen
Mm-hmm.
connected to that bond. That means they're very fragile. And it means they break very easily. So when you have high temperatures in seed oil production, like 500 degrees, and you pour in hexane, a very toxic chemical, you pour in neutralizers, deodorizers, bleaching agents. Oh my goodness, you've
Yeah.
got a
Oh my.
slurry. Yeah. Have you ever seen online, like on Instagram, every once in a while somebody will show it, and I have too on one of my posts, that slurry. It looks
Mm-hmm.
gross and awful.
Mhm.
The seeds all mushed up and
Mm-hmm.
dark and all this goop mixing around. That is what we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, those oils were never created for human consumption,
Mm-hmm.
let alone
Mhm.
health. They were machinery lubricants. what happened, the turn of the century before last, so we're talking about late 1800s, we had mounds of cotton seeds piling up in the US because that crop was really productive. And so they were saying, what do we do with all these seeds that are piling up and rotting? And
Mhm.
waste management was what they were really talking about. And so physicists came up with the idea of making oil. The oil turned out to be very dark and smelly, and it was used to lubricate machinery right up through World War II
Mhm.
for aircraft and ships for lubricating. Um, so what happened though before then, like in about the 1920s, they said, we've got so much of this, we need another market for it. Let's clean it up more and make a cooking oil out of it.
Mm.
That would be like to me saying, let's make a cooking oil out of your motor oil. I mean,
Yeah.
why not?
That's
Right?
basically
So
what
let's
you're saying, what's being done on a
Mhm.
much lighter note, but it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Let's make a cooking oil out of it. So in the 20s, we had a small amount of oil rolling out on the market, and then World War II came, and the tropical oils couldn't make it through the waters. The
Mhm.
ships couldn't make it through the waters, and so the seed oil companies saw a perfect opportunity to step up production and grab that market. So they had very slick ads, which they still do to this day, marketing the oils, new, modern, you don't need refrigeration, they can
Mhm.
sit on your shelf forever. That should be a red flag right
That's a
there,
huge red flag, Sherry.
isn't
Huge.
it? And so people started, yes, we want this new modern oil and it looks golden, no
Mhm.
smell, no taste, and we can pour it in anything. It'll go with all our recipes. They hired cookbook authors to
Mhm.
show people how to incorporate that oil into recipes. And lo and behold, something else showed up in the early 1950s, heart attack. All of a sudden, the little bar graph where there was hardly any heart attack before, a little small bar graph expands way up. And we've got heart attacks big time going on in the early 50s. And people were saying, what's going on? And people were scared and they were
Mhm.
demanding answers. And the government got involved, and physicists, scientists, doctors, autopsies. And they found plaque in the arteries when they did the
Mm.
autopsies. And what did they find in the plaque? Fat and cholesterol.
Mhm.
Nobody really asked, why did that plaque form? I mean, why did this suddenly happen? What
Right,
was
right.
going on? What changed in the American diet, the American
Mhm.
lifestyle? Few voices got drowned out and pushed to the side and kind of threatened, you won't have your prestigious professor
Right.
position or your
Oh,
paper
yeah.
published, or you won't get the grants for your
Mhm.
research
Mhm.
if you're going to continue on this line asking common sense questions.
Mhm.
Like, we've always eaten these fats. Why now?
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
so greed, once again, greed and then the idle threats come with you are going to lose something if you don't not see this, so it comes to the point where my grandfather used to say, you're going to believe me or your lying eyes. Like, no, I saw the report.
I
Like,
love it. Yeah, and so then these seed oil companies said, "Here's a huge opportunity.
hmm
We're going to go after what they found in that plaque, fat and cholesterol, and say there's
Mhm.
no fat, no saturated fat in oils, no cholesterol.
hmm
These now are heart healthy. These are what you need." And out went butter, eggs, cheese, red meat,
mm,
um, coconut oil because there's some saturated fat in that. All of that got demonized. Oh, you can't have any more of that anymore. And you
Mhm.
need these heart healthy oils. And did heart disease go down? No, it went up. It's
mm,
still the number one killer. We may have the bar graph may have gone down a little bit, but it's still
Mhm.
number one killer in America.
So I know we're gonna have some of our listeners because we have a wide range of our tribe, right? Is age group. So and they're gonna hear you say, like, "Oh, yeah, in the early 1800s and then in the 50s, da, 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 da." Let's fast forward to today. Today. Let's go to the early 2000s. Like, what type of data are you seeing correlated with seed oils and our health, overall health?
Oh, yes. So today I am seeing lots of studies about cancer, heart disease, diabetes, metabolic problems, um, Alzheimer's, dementia, skin issues,
Mm,
acne, eczema, psoriasis, emotional issues, depression, anxiety, aggression, even homicide. in
Mm.
Hmm.
scientific studies have been
Look
linked
at
to seed oils. So all of the and obesity, big time. What's at the underlying part of all of this is inflammation, of
that.
course. In all those
Hmm.
things I just named, there's inflammation. Seed oils have been directly linked to everything I just named. I worked with one young woman, and this isn't a scientific study, but she had suffered from migraine headaches for quite a while, and no one could figure out what was causing that.
Mhm.
And then she decided to cut out seed oils as much as she
Hmm.
possibly could. Her migraines went away and never came back.
Mhm.
Wow.
Amen for that.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned a couple of minutes ago about free radicals.
Mm.
And I remember back a few years, probably more than a few years, where that was the big thing. Oh, free radicals are bad. You can't, oh, you got to get rid of these things. All these products were coming out and whatnot. And then all that just kind of disappeared.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you haven't heard about that since. What happened during that period?
I don't know why they went away because they're still with us.
I know.
Right.
I
They're
know.
still hanging around. They're big time in the seed oils because of all of that processing that I just
Hmm.
told you about.
Mhm.
What are the seed oils? You're probably asking,
I was just
which
gonna say
oils?
that. Yeah.
Yes. So, at the top, because they're GMOs, the 2 worst are canola, which is rapeseed, and soy. Those are big GMO products or crops, and corn falling right down in that, lineup as well. Those are the top 3 worst. But grapeseed oil, safflower, sunflower, peanut, rice bran, and cottonseed oil. Those are your seed oils. Those are the ones that are so highly processed, end up in the clear plastic bottles. Think
Mhm.
microplastics also.
Hmm.
Find microplastics in these oils. These are loaded with free radicals and so many other things that
Mhm.
are processed foods now are loaded with free radicals. What does
Hmm.
that mean? Those are um, toxic stuff,
Mhm.
toxic cells, toxic items that damage our cells and cause things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and on it goes.
Mhm.
So it's sad that we're not talking about free radicals anymore. They never went away. We've got
Mhm.
more of them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, what happens to the oil specifically in the gut? And how does it affect the digestive functions, gut lining, integrity, and the microbiome? And you could pick one of the three or all of it, however you want
Yeah.
to answer it.
It affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
And digestion, it affects everything if we have poor digestion. So when we're talking about these oils being loaded with free radicals, loaded with toxins, loaded with things like aldehydes and lipid peroxides created from all of that processing that they go through, that is damaging that delicate lining of the gut. And just as these oils can damage the delicate lining of arteries where plaque forms, it can damage the gut lining as well. And so, what is that going to cause? All sorts of problems in the gut. Maybe irritable
Hmm.
bowel syndrome, maybe leaky gut syndrome, poor digestion. Lots of people suffer from gut issues today. It's maybe right up there at the top of one of the top things people are suffering.
Hmm.
And when your digestion is poor, your health is not going to be great because that's where our nutrients, our vitamins,
Mm-hmm.
minerals are absorbed in our gut. And that's where most of our immune system is in the intestinal tract. So we're
Hmm.
going to suffer in many, many ways. So getting these seed oils as much out of your diet as possible is going to help digestion immensely.
So it's funny. It's like immediately I'm thinking like, oh, this one, fried chicken dinner is not going to kill me, but it actually can because
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the act of frying the chicken. It's what you're frying the chicken in.
exactly. Yes. I'm so glad you said that because most fried chicken, if we're eating out in restaurants, are
Mm-hmm.
using very popular oils or soy or canola for
Mm-hmm.
frying
Hmm.
French fries, fried chicken, fish, like fish and chips, and so forth. So we need to, if we possibly can, find restaurants that don't use seed oils for
Mm.
frying their food.
Mhm.
Better yet, just don't eat fried foods, right?
Yeah.
Every once
Right.
in a while, people just say, "Oh, I just have to have a bite of this or a
Mhm.
fried chicken dinner. I'm just longing for that." Boy, if you can make your own with good oil or fat,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so much better.
Mhm.
But I have a little tool for you. Seed Oil Scout app has a little map on there of the whole United States. So it'll show your area and the restaurants that don't use seed oils. So little
Ooh.
green bubbles will pop up all over the map. And then they also have a scanner. So you can take it shopping and pick up any box or bag and scan the barcode code, and it will tell you what's in there. So go to my website landing page, The Truth About Seed Oils, and you'll see that little place where you can sign up for a free trial of that app, and that'll help you a lot for
Mhm.
getting those
Yeah.
seed oils out of your diet.
That's gonna be extremely helpful and essential for a lot of the folks that I work with. Rich, with you being an Ayurvedic practitioner, is like making that transition to leading a healthier lifestyle. It's like, where do I start? It can be so overwhelming. And an app, like, first of all,
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to be on the app because I got a restaurant, you know what I mean? I'm like, but even, that was going to be one of my questions, is like, where do you start? Like, when you're going down this journey of change, right? Just starting with yourself and changing over your lifestyle. Like, where do you start? It can be so overwhelming. Um, and
Yeah.
I always try to tell my clients, hey, it's just one meal at a time, but going through your pantry, where do you start? Where do you start? Like, if when you're at that transition point, where will be a good starting point?
So we have a shopping guide in the back of The Truth About Seed Oils, but I say be a wise shopper. So, and starting with your pantry, get out the bags, get out the
Yeah.
boxes, and see what's actually in there. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't know what is
Mhm.
actually in
Mhm.
what they're eating. Look for seed oils that may say vegetable oil, which is often then a blend of the different oils I named, or it will name the oil itself, like soy or corn oil or canola oil. And you might want to use it up. You might not. You might say, I'm just tossing this,
Yeah.
I'm going to go for
Mhm.
something better. But when you shop, um, take your magnifying glass or your phone
Mhm.
and take a
Mhm.
picture and blow up
Mhm.
the ingredients because they're getting real smart now.
Yeah, they
Smaller and
are.
smaller lettering, right?
Mhm.
And lighter colors, light white on light yellow, and you can hardly read it. So
I saw
we're
a couple the other day that a couple of labels where over where the barcode is, they had GMO over there and it's real light print. So you would never even see it if you were reading the ingredients. And then it's hidden over by the barcode. I'm like, oh my
oh,
goodness.
Mhm. I think a
oh
lot of it
my.
is like retraining yourself too, because we were never raised on, hey, read this barcode, look at the ingredients. And now in today's world, we are, reading labels allegedly,
Hmm.
but we don't even know what we're looking for. We're like, so what are besides looking if it has, 50 million ingredients, I'm probably going to pass on that. But if it has, are there telltale red flags when you're looking at a label, nutritional label?
Oh, yes, definitely. Besides the seed oils,
Mhm.
there are names you can't pronounce, right? That's a red flag. Avoid those. Those are preservatives, additives.
Mhm.
You might see dyes, colors on there, things like that. Sugar.
Mhm. Mhm.
My pet peeve is pure cane or organic cane sugar.
Mm.
Well, it's still
It
sugar,
it's
right?
sugar.
And
Hmm.
we're getting way too much sugar, and sugar also contributes to inflammation. So I would just avoid anything with sugar, names you can't pronounce, and seed oils. And there are more products coming out now of choices.
Mhm.
So I know probably almost no one listening is going to say, I'll never eat another chip again in my life. But they have chips now made with avocado oil, olive oil, and beef tallow. Beef tallow is a good one. If you're not
Hmm.
vegan, you can
Mhm.
have beef tallow. It's got a very high smoke point. It's a saturated fat, and people used it for centuries before we came up with this crazy lipid hypothesis that all saturated fat was bad. So I've seen more chips with beef tallow at my store as well. There are salad dressings made with olive oil. thankfully, and
Mhm.
vinegar, like raw apple cider vinegar. Bragg's is one good brand.
Mhm.
Paul Newman's has one that's olive oil and vinegar. How about mayonnaise? That's where you find a lot of bad seed oils.
Yep.
Mhm.
There are some brands now coming out with avocado oil mayonnaise. Look for that. Make sure, though, that they haven't put just a little avocado oil in there and mostly seed oil, which
Right.
is happening with some of the brands. And the same with crackers, other things in boxes. So, again, be a wise shopper, but you can find crackers without seed oil.
Mhm.
And you can find all sorts of boxed items today as more people vote with their dollar. The manufacturers are
Mhm.
getting the message. And sometimes, too, it's the smaller companies that are starting out to grab that market. And
Right.
maybe their product is a little bit more money, but
Mhm.
it's so worth it. Support them, support yourself, support
Mhm.
your own health. And I always say to people, say, well, I don't know if I can afford that. It's a little bit more money. You can pay at the front end a little bit more, or you pay
Mhm.
at the back end when you're sick a whole
Mhm.
lot more. So
Right.
I say, let's prevent. Spend a few more pennies now. It's so worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like I'm excited about your grocery list. I'm excited about the app. Like we can actually find places because I know that's going to be the headwind that everybody runs into is like, where do I go? And then you
Right.
get
Yeah.
frustrated, and then you eat the 2-piece fried chicken meal because now you're frustrated and you need comfort food. Like we really
Yeah.
need to, excuse me, reprogram ourselves into just being open to trying
Yeah.
something. I have a food truck. It's called the Soul Pharmacy, and we really pride ourselves on partnering with local farmers and using local ingredients just to give
Mhm.
folks an opportunity to eat something that they typically wouldn't eat, but it still gives you that nostalgic feeling.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, I didn't know I like sweet potatoes. Like, oh,
Right.
I didn't know I
Right.
liked kale. Like, just being open to try something different, I think is going to
Mhm.
be staying curious and just being open.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got to meet
Oh,
people where they're at.
yes. I say that all the time. Be open to try new things, try new recipes. I've got over 50 recipes in The Truth About Seed Oil,
Mhm,
incorporating good oils and good fats and showing you how to use them with the smoke point chart so you know
mhm,
which oils to choose for higher heat cooking and medium heat and which ones need to be cold at all times.
mhm,
And so you can start enjoying and trying some new things and like a fast skillet dinner that's actually healthy for you
mhm,
and didn't
Mhm.
come out of a box. And, it's starting with your mind. I think you
mhm.
mentioned earlier a mindset. A lot of us have kind of grown up with a mindset of, I don't
Right.
have time to make food.
Mhm,
Very
Mhm.
much. I'm so busy. Everything is so fast paced in my life.
mhm,
I just don't have time to cook or time to assemble a big main course salad. It starts here saying, "Yeah, I do have time. I have
Right.
a few extra minutes, and I'm gonna make time. I'm gonna carve it out because I know I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be able to work more efficiently, even in my kitchen, even with the cleanup
Mhm.
or even with the food
mhm,
preparation. And I'm going to find ways to make this maybe more efficient." So we do, but it starts with our head. And
mhm.
this started way back. I keep going back to the '50s, but it started with the TV dinners in the
Ugh.
'50s. Yes, it was right. Slick ads to the American it was the American woman, and, who was mostly the cook then, saying, "You just don't have time to make
Mhm.
all these meals for your family. Choose the TV dinner. It's fast and it's so easy," and made the American woman feel she didn't have time. Now it's American men and women that are made
Right.
to feel they don't
Mhm,
have time to make food. They need something fast, something delivered, something on the go,
mhm,
something out of a box they can pop in the
Mhm.
microwave. And all of that is making us sicker and sicker
Yeah.
and sicker.
mhm.
Yeah.
So it's time to turn it around and say, I do. I'm going to make the time. I
Yeah.
have the time. And on days where I realize I'm going to be really busy, I'll plan ahead and maybe
Right.
have something in the freezer I can just pull out very quickly. Like I usually have soup in there or different meals that I can pull out and just warm up, thaw out and warm up.
Mhm.
Meal prep is key. And it's like I always hear this with some of my clients. It's like, I don't have the time to have time. And then we break down their calendar. I'm like, Oh no, you have a lot of time. There's a lot of time in here. It's just misplaced energy. It's like now, if you're serious about what you want to do, you have to be intentional about the time that you set. And of course, don't start with, I'm going to have broiled lamb chops and, apple butter. And like, no, let's just keep it a little bit simple, reel
Right,
it back
right,
and
right.
start with something simple. And again, your recipes, you have a ton of recipes in your book. And so everybody out there that's listening, make sure you pick it up, try a couple of recipes, send it to us so we can know, give us your feedback so we can share it with Cherie. And we can go from there. But it's a starting point and just being intentional, one meal at a time, one day
That's
at a
it.
time,
That's
and
it.
then you'll be there. But you just have to like
Yeah.
want to try, have the courage to try something different.
And,
Oh,
as we've talked about, you have to choose you. At some point in time, you have to choose you and make yourself a priority, especially when it comes to health. Because if you think a cold is bad, then, that irritates
Mhm.
you, or the flu. There's a whole lot worse things you can get, develop
Mhm.
by ingesting these seed oils and poor nutrition. And it's no fun. It's no fun. And you shouldn't have to get to that point
To make a
to
change.
make a change. Be proactive, start out small.
Mhm.
And I think, this is a great way. I mean, just when I think about oils, the one thing, and I'm probably dating myself age wise, but the one thing that always comes to mind when it hit the news decades ago about denatured oil and how a lot of these places keep using the oil over and over and over again. And it was just, oh, it was disgusting. I was like, oh my God.
so
But most
disgusting.
people don't know what that is,
Yeah.
though.
No, and if you see, any little, films about these reused oils, they have to pour big jars of defoaming agent in there
Mm,
just to keep reusing it. It is just nasty
yeah.
and gross. I
Yeah.
should name the good oils because everybody's probably asking, "What can I
Yes.
you named all what I can have. You threw out everything. What can I have?" Olive oil never went away. It's still one of the great
Yay.
oils. Extra virgin olive oil,
Hmm.
avocado oil, coconut oil, and sesame seed oil. Those are all great oils that
Hmm.
you can use to cook with. Ghee, which some people call oil of butter, is another
Hmm.
good one. And if you use animal fats, tallow, beef tallow is
Hmm.
good. And yes, you can have butter. You can have real butter. Get grass fed organic, and
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
have some butter as well.
Right.
It's crazy how butter was demonized. Like
Yeah.
it's the worst thing ever. I'm like, but you're frying your chicken with car oil. Like, what are we really talking about here? Like, but when you break it down, sometimes I give very graphic descriptions so people really get it. Like, oh, I know what car oil is. I know the lubrication, the WD-40 that I put on my squeaky doors. That's what y'all eating. That's pretty much it. So,
Pretty much it. Cleaned up with no odor and taste. Goodness gracious, made from seeds, but don't even resemble the seeds anymore.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
all
No.
right.
So, well,
Yeah.
and then omega-6 fatty acids, we get
Hmm.
plenty. People ask me that all the time. So if I don't get my omega-6s from seed oils, where do I get them? Well, nuts and seeds and whole grain
Hmm.
and animal products. Eggs. You can have eggs again.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Oh, they put eggs on the, do not get near list.
Yeah.
They're going to cause high cholesterol and it's hard to lead to heart attacks and all. I mean, they laid out the whole story. And now people are afraid to eat
And
eggs.
I think part of that is too is like, what are you feeding these chickens? What are you feeding these cows? Because we're
Yes.
eating what they're eating. So, so to be devil's advocate, I get that, but you're feeding them what you're telling us, what you're feeding us. And then you're telling me not to eat the chicken. You know what I mean? Because it's causing the high cholesterol. Well, because you're feeding it crap. And then you turn around and give me the seed oil and try to market it as like, oh, it's heart friendly. Is it really?
No.
Okay.
It's not heart and friendly, and here's what it does. It creates irritation in the arteries, and it's irritation that causes plaque to build up in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a scab, if you brushed your skin really hard and it was bleeding or cut,
Hmm.
it would form a scab. Well, inside your arteries look like they've been brushed, one cardiologist said, with a very stiff brush. They're
Mm,
irritated
Wow.
red, and what's going to form over that? Plaque. It's going to cover it up. Well,
Hmm.
it's not the fat and cholesterol we're after. That's what's forming the plaque. Yes, but what caused it in the first place was that irritation. What caused that irritation? Seed oil, sugar, and lots of the chemicals in preserved foods. And smoking is in there too.
Ooh, girl, you gonna piss a lot of people off. Because they're gonna like, oh, you're taking away my Pepsi, you're taking away my fried food, you're taking away my cigarettes. Yes, we are. Okay. We're
Yes.
taking it all away. Or at least you can make a very educated, informed decision that you're gonna poison and kill yourself slowly, or that's not the life you want to live, and you're gonna make a decision. You have choices. You're worthy. We are all here for a purpose and to live our best lives. And you know, if you want to have dibble and dabble every once in a while, fine by me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to hurt our feelings. But our job solely is to educate and give you guys this information so then you can make an informed decision. So when you start feeling funky or having an attitude or brain fog or stomach
Hmm.
issues or constipation or constant inflammation, you can go back and say, okay, Miss Cherie came on the show and she told me very explicitly what it does and how long it's been around and why they're doing it. And now you're making a choice, a very distinct choice to either do it or don't. There's no such thing as I'm trying. Either you're going to do it or you're not.
Hmm.
You know, you may fall down. You may decide to have the fried chicken or not, or the french fries or whatever. Anything with the drive through, I try to avoid because of that factor. But, you know, just giving yourself some grace and trying to make the change. Because when you really break it down the way you did, Cherry, I think it gives everyone, it was a great illustration where we could immediately connect to
Hmm.
what you're saying and what we're doing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, what a pleasure. And if I can just inspire all your audience to say, yes, I can make some changes. I can do this.
Mhm.
Then we've accomplished a lot today. And I loved what you said. It's an informed choice. So often, though, people are making choices that they don't understand. They don't
Mhm.
Hmm.
know what they're doing. We're digging our grave with our teeth, as
Mhm. Ooh,
we've heard
I love that.
for years. But
Yeah.
we don't know that we are. We don't know why why we're sick, why this happened
Mhm.
to us. I call seed oils the silent killers
Mhm.
because we
Hmm.
don't taste them, we don't see them, but our food looks moist or juicy and
Hmm.
delicious. And it tastes good. And we have no idea what we're putting in our mouth. But when I go to look at the car, we would never put bad fuel in our car.
That's a good point.
What would happen? It
Mhm.
would just break down. I heard of one businessman that was in a big hurry for a meeting and he raced into the gas station and pulled out the diesel instead of the regular and put it in his car and it died on the freeway in short order. He never even made it to his meeting. Well, if we put the wrong fuel in our
Mhm.
bodies, we're going to
Hmm.
break down too. Maybe not immediately, but slowly, little by
Right.
little, we're going to deteriorate and have poor health. And so we want high octane fuel in this body,
Mhm.
right?
Amen.
As
Yes.
much as we possibly can. And you're right. Once in a while, you say, no, I'm just going to have a few of those French fries,
Mhm.
or
Right.
I'm going to have a little something of this. I am going to have a fried chicken dinner. I'm just
Mhm.
so yearning for fried chicken. Well, if it's once or twice a year, or maybe once a month, uh, you're not going to do so much huge
Mhm.
harm.
Right.
But
Right.
it's what you do most days of your life. It is
Hmm.
creating the
Mhm.
body that you will have tomorrow. And I want to talk for a moment about cellular health because it goes right down to the cell. Your
Hmm.
cell membranes are composed of fat, both saturated fat and unsaturated fat. But what if the fats that mostly are in your body that the body will use for repair to replenish, restore those cell membranes is inferior faulty fat, oxidized fat?
Mhm.
Wow, you're going to have faulty cell membranes. You're going to
Hmm.
have hormone issues. You're going to have insulin resistance. Cells are not going to be able to take up insulin like they should. And so we want good raw materials in our body so that the cells can have what they need to replenish that outer membrane. And what
Mhm.
about your brain? Your brain is 60% fat, and about half of that is cholesterol. That just shocks people to no end.
Yeah.
There's a new study that just came out finding that there's lower percent of Alzheimer's with people that eat eggs. We were told to throw out those yolks. We
Mhm.
Right.
choked down egg whites for a couple of decades
Yeah.
because we were told they were horrible. Now there's a new study showing eggs are really helpful for the brain.
Mm, there
Wow.
you have it.
I love eggs too.
Me too.
So
Me too.
eggs
Mm,
every day.
yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, Cherie. Wonderful information. Wonderful information. And we will be on our viewers on our next podcast to remind them of what you said and remind them to get your book and check it out. Go to your website. Oh,
The app is
oh,
going to be
that app's
key.
Get
amazing.
the app.
The app
Yes,
is going to
yes.
be key, especially today. We're always having our phone, and I mean, you can only use AI for so much, but if you had an app that can go straight in there and ask,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think maybe even as a couple days, couple weeks go by, we can see what kind of questions we're getting and come back. Share if it's okay. We'll come back with some of the questions that we can't answer that we could phone a friend, and you can help us out with that. That would be awesome.
It would be my pleasure. I would love to do that.
Awesome.
Well, all right, everyone. Thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like us. Be sure to follow us. Uh, also, follow Cherie. She's got some great information. So, with that, you all have a wonderful day. And don't forget, pick yourself first.
Yeah.
Make that change.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.
Toodaloo.